Hello everybody, welcome to the College X360 channel. Today we're going to talk about Xbox again. This time we're going to talk about a subject here. Xbox just told you where gaming is going. Are you listening? And it's a post by Scotty Tidwell, CEO of Puck Gaming. They're the guys that manufacture the scuff controllers that you have in your hands. Yeah, that's him. So he made this Twitter post. So I'm gonna leave like a card up here, or at the end of this video, I'm gonna leave like the previous video about Asha Sharma and her comments on gaming. It's related to this. Uh, Go look at that. So, he said this. Last week, Xbox announced another round of console price hikes. Effective August 1st, the Series X 1 TB goes to $799.99, a 150 increase. 2 days later, Circana reported that Xbox had just recorded its worst May hardware sales ever. PlayStation at its worst May in 25 years. That means going back to the PlayStation, the first PlayStation. Okay? And now reports gaming on phone are surfacing that Xbox is exploring native mobile ports of its biggest franchises, starting with Sea of Thieves, targeting Q1 2027. I don't know how they're gonna do that. Xbox isn't raising prices because it wants to lose console players. That's what is happening though. It's raising prices because it can't keep subsidizing hardware while costs climb. But the result is the same. An $800 console pushes more players towards the device already in their pocket, and Xbox knows it. That's a reach. I have a mobile phone right here, but I don't use it for gaming. Well, there's games on mobile phones, but it's not the type of gaming that we're used to on PlayStation. Okay? So I don't know what you're talking about. Okay? But he had this to say now. The console model is breaking in real time. This isn't speculation anymore. The data is right in front of us. Xbox hardware revenue fell 33% year over year last quarter. UK console sales fell 39% in 2025, and Microsoft's response isn't to fight for the console market. It's to abandon the idea that the console is the only way to play their games. Okay, so leave the industry then. Leave us alone. Sony is doing better than you are, okay? Now, I'll go back in a second here. Okay? Hold on here, let me see. Xbox hardware revenue fell 33%. hold on. Let me. I'm looking for a PlayStation. Just give me 1 second here. I just said PlayStation. Right here. PlayStation had its worst May in 25 years. Well, the problem isn't that PlayStation owners are not buying consoles. It's just that we're in an economic crash right now. We're in the middle of it right now. We're in a gaming crash also. That's the secondary issue. So, I don't know what you're talking about here. Okay? So, if Microsoft wants to go to mobile, let them go into mobile. You're not going to get long-term players, though. You want the whales? Hey, okay, fine. But you're not going to get the loyal PlayStation owners. You're not going to get the loyal gamers, like the PC players. You're not going to get them. You may put it on Game Pass, but you're not. Let me put it another way. Okay. So, let me continue here. Native mobile ports aren't xCloud. They're not streaming on a console. What? They're not streaming a console game through a data center. They're full, optimized, built for mobile versions of games that used to require a $500 box under your TV. Well, those are gimped ports, okay? Those versions of the games are not the one-to-one with the console ports. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay? Let me put it another way. Call of Duty just released a Call of Duty mobile version of Call of Duty, the Call of Duty that we know about. And that version, it's taxing the mobile phone regardless. So you're gonna end up getting a gimped video game. You're gonna get a lower than expected video game. Okay? So let's continue. The box is now $800. A phone that can run these same games costs the same, and it's also your camera, your GPS, your communication device, and the thing that is already in your pocket 16 hours a day. Your phone is the most important device in your life. Xbox already told you this was coming. But the problem is they abandoned the Microsoft phone. There was a Microsoft phone. Yes, there was. It was a Windows phone. We used to have one. And we abandoned it because the phone is not 100. I talked about this before. Windows, the operating system is bloated. So when you have a Windows phone, that Windows phone does not do it well, and it's not well optimized. It's not well designed. It's okay. In April, Xbox CEO Asha Sharma publicly said mobile competition still matters, and we believe the future of play should be more open. She wasn't being vague. Xbox just filed a amicus brief in the Epic versus Apple case, the same legal battle that brought Fortnite back to iOS. She confirmed the Xbox mobile store isn't dead. 617,000 people saw that post. Okay? Think about what that means. Xbox, the company that defined console gaming for 2 decades. That's the wrong statement, bro. Wrong statement. Filed legal paperwork to help open up mobile distribution. They're not just exploring mobile as a platform, they're actively fighting to make it easier to distribute games there. And it's working. Epic won. Fortnite is back on iOS with 3.4 million downloads in the first week. Now Microsoft is reportedly following with native mobile ports of its own franchises. There aren't indie studios testing the waters. Actually, they are. They have. These are the two biggest names in gaming saying the same thing at the same time. Mobile is where the players are. This was always the math. There are roughly 200 million active console players worldwide. I would argue a little bit more. There are over 3 billion mobile gamers. But these are not your typical gamers. These are not your typical gamers. These are casual gamers. These are the types of people that when they go into the toilet, they play a casual 5-minute game and then go to another part of the house and play the game again. It's easy. It's basically a Nintendo in your pocket. When I say Nintendo, I'm talking about 1980 Nintendo system. Okay? The gap has always been there. What's changing is the companies who built their empires on consoles are finally being forced to acknowledge it. That's up for your interpretation, bro, but I disagree. If you want to go into mobile gaming, go. The part that still isn't solved. Every time a major title moves to mobile, it brings players who expect a competitive, high-performance experience. That's what I said. What he's saying there is, when you power up a PlayStation 5 or a Xbox Series, you have a game that is running at 4K, 60 frames per second with thousands and thousands and thousands of transistors or polygons on screen. Mobile phones cannot do that unless you have something like the Apple M1 chip, which is inside of laptops right now. So Capcom ported their games like Resident Evil 4 to the Apple M1. Yup. Yup. So Apple can solve this issue, but the problem comes when you take that chip and you use a game in there. You're gonna need a little bit more RAM chips here and there, and the other chips like the graphics unit to power the game. The graphics card, the chip to power the game, because polygons is still taxing. Ray tracing is still taxing. As a matter of fact, Grand Theft Auto 6 is being said to run at 30 frames per second, and it has a 60 frames per second mode for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, Xbox Series X. And it's because ray tracing takes a lot of horsepower out of the console. So, no. This problem is not going to be solved until we have mobile phones that are powerful enough to run a game. Okay? Until then, you have these casual games like Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, Minecraft, Fortnite. Now, when I say Minecraft and Fortnite, I don't mean the full Unreal Engine 5 or Unreal Engine 6 game. No, it's going to be a stripped down, bare bones Unreal Engine version of Fortnite. Because of the things that I said about competitive high performance experience. Okay? Sea of Thieves players will expect the same. I'm telling you right now, Sea of Thieves players, I'm telling you right now, the answer is no. Keep to a PC or a Xbox game console. Got it? Now, I'll continue. Mobile players have options, but most of them are console controller bolted onto a phone. And that's the other issue. You're not going to convert a lot of the console players into mobile players. Okay? Unless that game is a casual game. Okay? Mobile players have options, but most of them are console controllers bolted onto a phone. The form factor wasn't designed for how mobile players actually hold, move, and compete. Sound familiar? Console players had the same problem until Stuff Gaming invented the performance controller category paddles and hair-triggered technology so essential that Xbox licensed Scuff patents to build the Elite controller. Okay. What they're talking about is these things back here. Okay? I know there's no paddles here, but there's paddles in a Elite controller. So, Scuff's founder is now Puck's Gaming's founder, and he's been inventing and patenting products purpose-built for mobile gamers. Magnetic, software-free, mobile-native accessories direct touch input, zero latency. The games are moving to mobile. The players are moving to mobile. Puck is ensuring the hardware catches up. Scotty Tidwell, CEO, Puck Gaming. Well, I don't. Who's gonna tell him? Who's gonna tell him? Who's gonna tell him? The reason why there's consoles, this thing, controller, okay, I have a controller. The reason why consoles exist is not to be accessible. No. We like console gaming because it's in your living room. It's not in your bedroom. Well, this is a bedroom, but that's not my point. My point is, it's in your living room. You sit there, you play for hours, and then you get off, you go off doing your own thing. Mobile phones is not for video games in the traditional sense that console games are. Okay? Mobile phones, I agree. There's a big market in there. But there is barriers in the way of accessing that game. For example, as he brought up here, let me go back here. As he brought up here, the Epic versus Apple case, the same legal battle that brought Fortnite to iOS. So he said here, Fortnite is back on iOS with 3.4 million downloads in the first week. Okay? That's a big number. But it's not Call of Duty big. Okay? There is still entry of issues. There are entry issues. Okay? So, when you have your phone, you have a choice. Let me put iOS, for example. Okay? You have one place to get the game. It has to be on the Apple Store. Anywhere else, they block it off. Same goes for Android. If you have a Google phone, you are stuck to the Google Play Store. So that system is a big problem. So if they reject you from the store, like the issue here I had, let me explain what happened, okay? Epic sued Apple because Apple kicked Fortnite off the platform. And then, during this battle, this legal battle, Epic complained about the prices, because every time you put a game on the Apple Store, you have to revenue share your game with Apple. So when you buy a game on Apple Store, okay, the publisher, Epic in this case, Epic has to pay 10% to 20% of that revenue to Apple. And Tim Sweeney said, why would I do that? So in the middle of that lawsuit, they opened up a little bit the Epic Game Store to, I forgot what it was, but it was more like a revenue split where it was minuscule against the publisher. So the publisher has a lot of goodwill towards Epic because they have Unreal Engine on the back end. So that's one thing. So what's my point? This is not going to work. This whole article, it's just an ego stroke for Scotty Tidwell, because he creates accessories for phones and consoles. What he is saying is he wants to move his product to phones. But the problem is, not everybody wants to be on mobile when it comes to gaming. This number of Fortnite players, 3.9, right? Hold on here. 3.4 million downloads in the first week. Those people are just like, in my opinion, those are handheld gamers. Okay? They are the same people that buy Nintendo Switches. But the difference between mobile gaming and Nintendo Switch is you're getting the full video game experience on Nintendo Switch. On mobile phones, you're not getting that. So if you're Scotty Tidwell and you want to sell to those mobile gamers, you're going to have to understand that you're only reaching 3.4 players. You're not going to get, what is it? Hold on. What is it? He said it somewhere else. Okay. So, there are roughly 200 million active console players worldwide. Okay? There are over 3 billion mobile gamers. You're lying to your investors, bro. Okay? I have a mother. She plays Candy Crush. My niece plays phones and tablet. Okay? So, That's a small market. Okay? But the problem is, when I see this 3.4 million downloads against hold on here, give me 3 billion mobile gamers. Okay? No, it's 3 billion mobile owners. You are trying to tell investors that there is 3 billion mobile gamers in its own category. But no, it's 3 billion mobile owners. In other words, I own this phone, right? But I play mobile games casually. Okay? I'm not the target audience. Okay? You want money. Okay? $70. $70. $70. $60. $80. $60. $60. So you understand my point? Ain't nobody going to buy mobile games. 90% of the games that are on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store is $5 to $10 a pop. Sometimes free. You ain't paying $70. Okay? No, you're not. I don't know what else to say, but this is the wrong article. This is a very wrong article. It sends the wrong message, and he's not really talking to the consumer. He's talking to the investors, because he wants investors to look at, hold on. Look at 3 billion mobile gamers. And then he wants that number to be a projected number to invest in. Okay? When I go to an investor, my first thought is, I see 200 million active console players worldwide. Okay? Now, when you reduce that to a game, $20 million players. Okay? $50 million. That was my projection to an investor. I was not lying to the investor. Okay? But they don't see what I'm trying to do. They just think that gaming is tough and that I'm not going to be able to get to where the other companies are. I see a lot of holes in the industry right now, and I'm not taking full advantage of that. And it's not necessarily my fault. It's the investors' fault. Because the investors, they're worried about AI. Well, I'm trying to serve customers with a very nice product. I have a lot of ideas in my head, but I don't have the investor backing to do A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Let me put it another way. Grand Theft Auto 6 sold 230 million copies. And Grand Theft Auto 6 just went on pre-sale. I'll leave a link up here somewhere. And that game sold 39 million units so far. $3 billion one day. Okay? I don't know what else to say, but to end this video, I'm gonna talk about my comment here. We don't want that future. We will reject it. I've been on record saying this. Microsoft is a cancer to video games and is the reason for the gaming crash. By the way, we are in that gaming crash. It's not we're headed for a gaming crash. No. We're in it. Like, subscribe, talk about College X 360. Share the video. Share it around. Stay awesome. I'll see you guys later.